Hi Heidi, this is Paul Rowland. I got your email and I know you've got a couple of questions about a few things. One of the things I noticed you asked about was how to read true bearing and maybe compass bearing. So what I might do is just quickly show you how to work with bearings. So there's two types of bearings. I'm just going to fold this paper in half so I can get an axis. As well. Okay, cool. I'm just doing this on my phone. I've got it propped up, so it might come upside down when you watch this. But anyway, I've got myself a Mathomat here, which is a really handy little tool to have. I've had this one for years. You can probably tell it's a bit worn out. Okay, so I'm just going to make a circle here, like this. Pretty much just a protractor, really. Mark my north. Never eat soggy Weet-Bix. So, never eat soggy Weet-Bix. Okay. Alright, so we've got our bearing. It's our compass. Pretty much north, south, east, west. Now, the first thing, there's two types of bearings that we look at. We look at something called true bearing. So true bearing. And we have compass bearing. Okay. Now, before I explain the difference between these two, anything here is called the northern hemisphere, and anything below here is the southern hemisphere, just like Earth. Okay, so along there. So that's important when we come to compass bearing. So true bearing is quite straightforward. We just measure it from north. Okay, it's always measured from north. So if I get my protractor, and it doesn't matter anywhere on this circle that I put an angle on the line, let's go 40 degrees. Oh, quite simply, that angle there is 40 degrees true. Okay, so this is 0 degrees here, and we've gone across 40 degrees. Okay, so we can say here that this bearing is 40 degrees true. All right. Now, if I was to look at that in terms, so true bearings measured from the northern point. Okay, that's your reference point. Now, if I was to write that as a compass bearing, okay, so compass bearing looks like north 30 degrees west, something like that, right? So the syntax that we use for compass bearing is we always write which hemisphere it's in first. So clearly, this is in the northern hemisphere. So if I was to write 40 degrees true in a compass bearing, then I would say, firstly, it's in the northern hemisphere. Okay. Now, this is the very important point. When we say what the degree is, we say from that north point, how many degrees? Well, 40 degrees in this case. Well, it's 40 degrees in which direction? East or west? To the west. So northern hemisphere, 40 degrees to the west. East, sorry. To the east, okay? So 40 degrees in the easterly direction, not 40 degrees in the westerly direction. Okay, so that's how I would write 40 degrees true and north 40 degrees east as a compass bearing. All right, let's try something in this quadrant here. These are called quadrants, by the way. Quadrant 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyway, it's just terminology. It's good to know terminology. Let's try an angle, say here. Let's see what that angle is there. Okay. Get my protractor. Okay. Alright. So we go around to, oops, wrong one. There we go. Okay, let's go to 130 degrees. 130 degrees there. Okay, now you'll see how true bearing and compass bearing is quite different, and you need to be careful of which hemisphere you choose. So firstly, we can say that this is 130 degrees, as you could see on the the protractor over here. 130 degrees true. Now, if we were to look at that as a compass bearing, we'd say, well, it's in the southern hemisphere. Now, look at this, comes out quite different. Now, how many degrees to the east are we going? We're not going that degrees. We're not doing that many degrees from the east. We're going from the south point. So from that south point, I'm going how many degrees to get to 130? Well, this is 180. This is 130. What's the difference? Well, this must be 50 degrees here. Okay? So this as a compass bearing is it's in the southern hemisphere and we're going 50 degrees in the easterly direction. So that's how we get that bearing. Now you can see that these two, the actual magnitude value here of 130 and 50 degrees are quite different, but they actually are exactly the same positions. And it doesn't matter where you go. So if that's 180, let's say somewhere between 270 and 180, let's just take 210 degrees. All right, that's 210 degrees true. Okay, now once again, it's in the southern hemisphere. So we can say it's in the southern hemisphere. How many degrees? Well, this is 180, that's 210. So the difference between there is 30 degrees. Okay. Difference between there is 30 degrees. So it's 30, it's in the southern hemisphere and we're going 30 degrees to the west. Okay. Once again, you can see these magnitudes are quite different, but they're exactly the same bearing. Okay. Hope that helps. 7 minutes. Sorry. Okay. Hopefully I'll speak with you soon. Bye.